There is a saying in Marathi, which is one of the Indian languages, Duruna Dongara Sazre, which means a mountain seems green and beautiful from afar, but it is something else when you are near it. The equivalent English saying is, the grass is always green on the other side. Why am I on such an idiom ride? I would like to examine the issue of rural youth migrating to urban centers in search of jobs and better living, and whether this has resulted in their upliftment. In addition, I would like to examine if village life helps in better health longevity and better family life, and lastly, how we can stop the mindless migration to urban centers by making agriculture a more lucrative alternative. It is a popular assumption that farming has lost its attractiveness as it has become a largely unremunerative proposition, resulting in large number of youths flocking to urban centers in search of gainful employment. It is equally true that many rural youths who come to the cities in search of jobs get easily drawn to crime. In addition, those who find jobs must eke out a miserable existence in ghetto like surroundings, being continuously exploited by landlords, ruthless contractors, and employers alike. Instances of sexual exploitation of females, not getting rightful overtime, salaries on time are all the new normal. Those who are familiar with the National Capital Region of India will bear me out when I say that the kind of living exists in some of the outer peripheries of the capital region can put any responsible citizen to shame. Of course, by no means this is unique to India. I have seen similar things happening in Kenya, Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, Philippines, and few other countries in the continent. It is also evident that there appears extraordinarily little legal recourse available for most of the employees, as all governmental agencies responsible for monitoring employee welfare are severely compromised. The mercenary approach of many employers was evident in the recent ongoing COVID-19 crisis, when employees were left to fend for themselves, and most of them prefer to walk back thousands of kilometers back to their roots in villages. As the above, all the above merits a question whether for these youths coming to the metro in search of jobs was a good choice or a foolhardy decision. Although it is believed, though not necessarily backed by facts, that youth prefer to get some kind of jobs in the urban centers than living in poverty in the villages, a closer and critical youth look reveals a completely different picture. How is the life in villages? I would like to examine this question covering areas like food, health, earning, and longevity. In Africa, maize, wheat, and now the third category, rice, mainly promoted by International Rice Research Institute, IRI, the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center, CIMMYT, and Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, they form the cereal crops that form the staple diet pattern of the average African farming community. Research points out clearly that farm families are getting enough protein, calcium, phosphorus, and iron in their daily intake of food. The youth based in urban centers, on the other hand, were getting barely enough protein and not enough calcium, phosphorus, and iron. Most of the time, they end up eating junk food available in extremely unhygienic conditions available in food carts. In NC, National Capital Region of Delhi, thousands of workers working in call centers or industrial establishments end up consuming food cooked in adulterated oil and end up suffering from various ailments. The farm families consume much more meat, eggs, milk, and vegetables, which they often produce themselves, than did the city people, who depend more on cereals. Of course, city families with large incomes get more adequate food than the working men's families. But many farm people, if they move to town, would undoubtedly fall into the later class. Of course, there are farm families who do not get a rich and varied diet, even in prosperous times like the present. In some agriculture areas, there are farmers who have no farming fields of their own and keep no livestock. Some do not have enough cash income to buy adequate wholesome food. We have seen in the southern highlands of Tanzania extreme and abject poverty, yet they survive using the barter system and they have enough nourishment. Although the average age of farmers in India is 50 years and in Africa it is 60 years, yet the fact is that life expectancy in villages is much better than in the metro towns. Pollution, work stress, travel, compatibility issues between family members take the toll in metro households. Village air is fresh, less polluted, and congenial for a better health and lifestyle. Do farmers enjoy their work more? Whether working in the fields, orchard, or garden, or taking care of livestock, farming involves many kinds of tasks and skills. In addition, a farmer usually has to keep his equipment in good shape, to repair jobs around a house or hut, barn, and sheds, clear out the bush and cut the fuel for wood, possibly keep the drainage ditches open or mend roads and do 101 odd jobs. Those who prefer to work in the metro cities contrast these varied tasks with the monotonous job of the factory hand who performs the same operation at high speed, hour after hour, and day after day, or with that of the white collar worker, like a call center operator, sitting at his or her desk all day long, often under artificial light and in a hot, stuffy room. Remember Charlie Chaplin's film Modern Times? There he is subjected to such indignities as being force fed by a malfunctioning feeding machine and an accelerating assembly line where he screws nuts at an ever increasing rate onto pieces of machinery. He finally suffers a nervous breakdown and runs amok, getting stuck within a machine and throwing the factory into chaos. Those who have seen the atmosphere in large garment manufacturing units will bear out that the situation at the workplace is no better than what Chaplin had to undergo in the Modern Times film. Even today, workers must obtain written approvals to go to the washrooms, and their time spent in the washroom is monitored. Slow workers are punished by asking them to stand and face the wall with their backs to the workers for the entire shift. Sounds improbable, but that's the true fact. Comes summer, and all want to go to a place which has natural beauty. Well, the farmer lives amidst the nature. There is, of course, the old saying, the farmer's day is never done. The chores on a farm are many and the monetary rewards are often limited. But many farmers do not think of their occupation solely in terms of cash. To till the earth, to plant seeds and watch them grow, to see the young shoots mature in the summer sun, and then to harvest the crop are to many people deep and rewarding pleasures that can never be imagined by the urban gentry. So is the intimate association with animals, cattle, horses, or mules, chickens, pigs, or sheep, dumb creatures who serve men well, but who must be cared for tenderly and patiently. Is family life better on the farm? Some sociologists say that the farmer tends to have a happier home life than the city man. As a rule, Farming is a family enterprise. The husband, the wife, and children divide the labor, each doing what his or her strength and abilities permit. By such interdependent teamwork, the family is knit into a tight, cohesive, and harmonious unit. Because they work together as well as live together, farm families are generally more stable than urban families. I close with raising the $1 billion question: how do we stop the migration of rural youth to urban centers who get disillusioned in the process? The answer lies in making agriculture more attractive and sexier as an occupation and a way of life. This can be done via mechanization, bringing more tractors, more technology based information system, more cold storage facilities, better roads, better post harvesting care and logistics, and above all, better and competitive remunerative prices. Also, in the vocational education, the importance of agriculture needs more and visible emphasis, which today unfortunately is missing. An innovative yet which is deeply rooted in the local traditions and cultural values approach is the need of the hour. In this context, I would like to mention the important role played by the zero budget natural farming ZBNF movement in Andhra Pradesh, southern India, that is showing remarkable results. This approach is fast attracting young people like engineering and management graduates to go to villages and practice the system. In this system of farming, no monetary investment on the part of the farmer is required for purchase of seeds, fertilizer, and plant protection chemicals from the market. The farmer can produce his own seed, or he may use seeds that are available with other farmers. More importantly, there is absolutely no place for fertilizers and plant protection chemicals in the scheme of farming. Dependence on hard labor is also reduced to the bare minimum as the system discourages intercultural operations. The whole philosophy behind the holistic system is to make the farmer self sufficient and self reliant so that he is freed from the clutches of money lenders. As you know, taking loans and not being able to repay the loans is one of the major causes of suicide among farmers in India. This system also aims at avoiding conditions that, as I mentioned, leads to suicide among farmers and market dispensed high cost inputs. The salient features of the natural farming includes zero budget, near zero input cost, which are recoverable, and increasing soil fertility by natural means. The promoters of the natural farming claim that a single local cow can prove helpful in cultivating 30 to 35 acres of land, reducing water requirement to 20% less than chemical and organic farming, and reducing the electric power consumption. I believe that taking agroecology to scale by adopting this approach, which is firmly embedded in our cultural ethos, will attract more and more youth, and that will stop the mindless migration to urban centers. I would like to conclude by mentioning that as many as 9 out of 17 sustainable development goals have implications for agriculture, and that is all the more compulsive reason why we need to stop this migration to urban centers. Let me explain. Sustainable Development Goal 1 talks about no poverty. Rural people make up 70% of the world's extreme poor. So agriculture can contribute more to reducing poverty than any other sector. Sustainable Development Goal 4, quality education. Agricultural extension enables farmers to access to the skills, tools, inputs, and the knowledge that they need. Sustainable Development Goal 5 talks about gender equality. Women farmers produce 20 to 35% less than their male counterparts, mostly on account of differences in their access to and use of resources. Because women produce over half of the food worldwide, bridging this gap could reduce global hunger and ensure food security. SDG 6, clean water and sanitation. By 2030, the global demand for water will have doubled, with agriculture alone requiring more than what can be sustained to feed the world, even before domestic and industrial needs are met. Sustainable Development Goal 7 talks about affordable and clean energy. By 2030, the demand for energy will have doubled, mostly on account of developing countries. More crops are likely to be grown for use as biofuels, doubling or perhaps even tripling as a proportion of total use. Sustainable Development Goal 8 talks about decent work and economic growth. In rural areas, agriculture can be an engine of growth, a driver of growth for employment and poor economic growth. SDG 12 talks about responsible consumption and production. Average consumption per capita is expected to grow through 2030, even if about one-third of what food produced goes to waste. Sustainable Development Goal 13 talks about climate action. By 2030, agricultural carbon mitigation potential could reach as much as 7.5% of total global emissions, depending on the price of carbon and adoption of agriculture productive measures. And finally, Sustainable Development Goal 15, which is life on land, improving the efficiency of farmland can help meet the demand for food and curtail the conversion of natural habitats and forests for additional cultivation. And therefore, I would like to stress the importance of reversing the migration of rural youth who have gone to the urban centers back to the villages. Agriculture offers huge potential for employment, wealth creation, longevity, and overall happiness. Thank you.